so much for joining us. It's David Cardoso finally back with another podcast. I think you actually take us up to double digits.
No way.
Yes, number 10. You are number 10 on the... What did I tell you about the ping? What did I tell you about the ping? Sorry, guys. Yeah, you are number 10 on the podcast. So it's really, I'm really stoked to have you on and just to have a chat about Mr. DJ Dan Sterry. I love watching your Instagram stories because, you know, you always do these epic little shorts, which one, they make me chuckle because you actually show the truth behind a DJ, as well as showing all the cool shit that happens. But you also talk about like the reality and the costs and the things that you have to go through. And I was like, oh, this guy's got it. And then it just so happened that I was DJing at Formula One. And then I saw you were DJing at Formula One. I was like, oh, I got to try and meet up with this guy. Like, let's have a chat or something. And then obviously that never happened. And I was like, oh, let's reach out and see. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's been great. It's it's just nice to connect with other DJs. And I feel like there's like so much of like shared learning, and like DJing is such a solo sport. So you need you need to like link up with people and connect for sure.
Exactly. I mean, I say this almost every show. It's like, when do you get to hang out with DJs? Only like when you're crossing over from getting off the decks and how's it, bro? Yeah, let's have a drink. And then it's done. You don't see them again until the next gig. And as a working DJ, you know, gig money takes preference, and people are like, oh, it's such a glamorous life. No, you forget that we have to sacrifice every single event or anything like that to be paid for what we're going to go do. So it's a laugh, but it's a lonely laugh.
Yeah, it's so hard. I think most DJs I meet up with either at like 4 a.m. Or it's like we're both driving home, so let's just call each other, have a chat, and then it's Sundays or like meetups or stuff like that. But it's hard because then that takes away from family life, social life. There's always a sacrifice for sure.
I definitely feel that, and which is kind of why I started the podcast in the first place, because like as I was saying before we came on air, it's, you don't have one set route that is like, you're going to go here, you're going to do this, you're going to get this gig, and that gig's going to open up that, and that gig's going to open up that. It just doesn't work like that. And so sometimes you'll see someone who'll come into the scene like really fast and just hop, skip, and jump to the next level. And you think, well, you know, I'm doing this. Why hasn't that happened? But then at the same time, 6 months later, you're rocketing past in doing something else, and it's like, it's a tough industry. So
it's hard. I think with any like creative role, it's so easy to compare because there's no grade of, aside from like music theory or instruments, there's no sort of qualification of DJing. It's just purely public opinion. So it means that people go through peaks and troughs of popularity, of success, and it's no sort of constant upward direction. It's 100%. Ups, downs, and and it's really hard, I think, especially because you feel like with some DJs you think, oh, they've not been around for that long, how have they blown up so fast? And actually they've been grinding.
All you've seen, exactly that. All you've seen is this snippet of that performance on the main stage, and they haven't seen that legwork that has led you up, and the sacrifice that has led you to that point.
Even some singers and stuff like that, you'll hear like their debut album like release or whatever, and you haven't heard their 100 like pub gigs, or even Coldplay was started off at a pub in Camden. Like, exactly. You have to start somewhere, and I think that's where sometimes shade can be thrown from just seeing like people come out of the woodwork. And then it's like, why are they getting stuff that I'm not? And
the Beatles was the same. Everyone thinks that they just appeared on the scene, and they were in Germany, touring Germany, before they actually went onto TV, onto British television. And they had kind of hit their 10,000 hours as a band together, like slogging it like almost every day, having new gigs. And then they hit Britain, and they're like, oh, this is a new band called the Beatles, and everyone went crazy, and they thought, where did they come from? No, they actually had put in the legwork way when nobody was watching. So I definitely feel the hard work that goes into being a DJ. But that's why, like, to find out a little bit more about your roots. And so I mean, obviously, we've literally just connected on Instagram and stuff. So I'm as blind as anybody else coming into watching the podcast, which is kind of how I like it, because it's
Yeah,
just a
yeah, yeah.
conversation. It's supposed
Yeah.
to be just a conversation. But where about you from first and foremost?
Yeah, so I grew up in a town called Reigate in Surrey. It's
Okay.
not too far from Gatwick. Literally was born and raised there. Pretty much stayed there until I went to uni. Went to uni in Bournemouth, and that's a great like DJing scene, a great student scene as well. I thought that really helped. But yeah, grew up in Reigate. Always been a big fan of music. Listened to all sorts of different things from like rock to rap. A lot of like 80s, like what my parents listened to. A lot of dubstep and drum and bass in teenage years for sure.
Yeah.
Like grew up just going to raves and stuff like that as well. And I think that's how I got into DJing really. Like always been a big fan of music. And then someone came along and just said, I was 16 and they said, do you want to do the music for my 18th birthday? It was a house party. And
so what, your mates already kind of knew that you were into tunes, or were you like
just like messing around? Like I don't think I'd even like downloaded any like DJ software or anything like that. I think I just liked providing like playlists and stuff. And they said, do you want to do the music? And so I said, yeah, why not? And I took it really seriously. I was like, this is great. So I can't remember how long it was, but I just tried to learn to DJ. And it was, at that time, it was just off a laptop. So it was just like internal.
What was it, virtual DJ?
Virtual DJ.
Yeah, baby.
Like that's where I think a lot of people started.
Everybody throws shade at virtual DJ. Yeah. But I will say this up front. It's a really great introduction into being a DJ. Really seamless. There's no having to do folders and all of this kind of jazz. It just works. And this might be controversial as well, but I will say it. They had stems way before Serato or anyone. And their stems were actually on point. I'm talking years ago. Their stems. They're exactly what Serato has now. And they don't get the credit they deserve, because people don't,
it's quite,
they don't associate it with a professional DJing.
Yeah, so. I think the only time I see it now is where kind of the mobile DJ, like kind of like, if I can say, like the over 50s, like the DJs who like have been DJing for literally like 50 years or something like that, like and they do like functions and like the weddings and like kind of stuff like that. That's the only time I see virtual DJ now. Like I think everyone, maybe 80% are on Serato. I'm actually one of the few. I'm a tractor man.
Okay, threw a curveball there.
So I started with virtual DJ, like just with a laptop.
Yeah.
Then when I moved on to controllers, because I was like, I'll just bedroom DJ.
What controller did you go for?
So it was really weird. Thinking back now, me and my friend like halved our time between one controller, and we had like a Hercules this big.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we halved it. Like we paid like 20 quid each or something, which was loads at the time.
Yeah.
And then he sort of moved away from DJing and lost interest, but I kept going. And then I think what really took it is that I downloaded Traktor, I think just more from the creative, like production perspective.
Yeah.
And then when I was 18, I got a job collecting glasses in a cocktail bar, and the DJ there was using Traktor. So, and I kind of came up under his wing and just like learned from him and listened to him and stuff. And because he used Traktor, I was like, oh, well, since you're using Traktor, I'll use Traktor.
Yeah.
And I'll get the controller that you have, and I'll basically sort of kind of just copied him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it went, really. I mean, I remember my first gig was at a house party, and I practiced for ages, weeks before, and it just went horribly wrong. Like, no one danced. I don't think anyone had a good time. And everyone left early. Like, it wasn't like a super late thing. Yeah. But the funniest thing is that I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing like the music that I loved.
Yeah.
And the music that I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So from then it was like a gradual progression, I think through uni as well, of like basically trying to make people dance and trying to make people have a good time. And I think for me, definitely now, like the satisfaction is by me playing like good music, sometimes music that people know, sometimes people that don't know, and people just having a great time, like
Mm.
seeing people, yeah, dance, make memories, like.
So you were kind of open format from the get go then, in some regards, I would say then.
Yeah, I mean, I literally started with virtual DJ doing like dubstep and drum and
Yeah,
bass,
yeah,
and then as I went into more doing like house parties, like friends' house parties
yeah,
and stuff, I just did more like EDM, like house chart remixes, that kind of stuff.
mm,
Um, and then this cocktail bar was a lot of like disco and house and stuff like
yeah,
soulful house. So really got into like the glitterbox defected type, like,
yeah,
and that was back in maybe like 2013, 2014. So I think that was like a great era for like tech house and like dance music coming through.
mm,
And then, yeah, at uni, it was predominantly house or drum and bass.
nice.
And then I think the good thing about like, I think dance music in general is that like, or I didn't really limit myself to specific gigs. So I just put like, I'm in dance music as a box. So if there's a gig that comes up,
Got a bit
do you
of hip
think I
hop
might
R
be?
and B or something.
Yeah, and I just had to learn the hard way. I
Yeah,
just had to learn like, oh, okay, like this is some music, like this is R&B that makes girls dance. This is stuff for the guys. Same with like
yeah.
Afro beats and or even like garage or drum and bass. Like what you're learning, what music is good for warm up
Yeah.
versus like peak time,
Mm.
and just kind of learning as I go really. And then each gig and opportunity has been like a massive learning curve, whether it be like residencies at bars or clubs, or even like hotels,
Mm.
festivals, um,
So
private events.
did you get kind of your first like residency straight out of uni, or were you already DJing, getting paid by the
Yeah,
time you?
so within uni, I was still working at this cocktail bar,
What's it called?
back in home. It was called Jules
Is it
in
still
Reigate.
there?
It's not there anymore. No,
Oh,
it's called something else now.
uh,
But it was great, man. Like, absolutely loved it. Like soulful disco house,
mm.
and then maybe a little bit of like hip hop and stuff as
Purple
well.
disco machine kind of vibes.
Yeah, literally, like it was great. Like, um, and just so I was working there collecting glasses on the bar, and then I'd have a few shifts there that were paid in and out of uni.
Nice.
And then I first started DJing at uni when I entered like a DJ competition in my first year, and it was like a live competition. So you put in a mix for entry,
Yeah.
and then they put you in a slot throughout that like night, and then you just had 20 minutes
Nice.
and go. And I ended up winning the competition,
Epic.
and then that got me in my first like residency there, my first paid. I think it was pretty much my first paid gig,
Amazing.
and
Amazing.
I got paid £20 an hour, and I did 1 hour
Let me
like a
guess. Let
night.
me guess. But like after that, when that money hits your hand, did you get that like, maybe I could get paid for this and like make a job of it,
Do you
or
know
did
what?
that come later?
Do you know what? I think it was such a sigh of relief because I'd put in like 2, 3 years of it just being a hobby
Yeah.
that doesn't really. I think I was getting a bit from like house
Yeah.
parties, maybe like skimming a bit off the top of like when people would hire speakers and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's literally it. So I think for me it was more like, oh, I'm now trying to get like a return on my investment almost.
Yeah.
And it takes time, and
Yeah.
especially at uni, like uni gigs as a student, you're not well paid because they're usually run by students. I got involved with like student radio, and obviously that's not paid.
Yeah.
So it's only really when I got a job doing once a month at a hotel doing like disco soulful house that then the money started coming through, and then that could pay for, well, like my bills every other month.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was it really. Like, is I think sometimes people expect when they start DJing to like get paid straight away and then
Yeah.
demand crazy amounts. And
Mm.
I think that's one view. I think the other extreme is just always playing for free and actually undercutting everyone and bringing
The
the
market
market
down.
down,
Yeah.
which is equally bad. So I think it's, as your skill level and as your value goes up, that's when you can start making it sustainable, allowing you to be rewarded for your work,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Because things cost money, even creating content costs money now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I spend so much on marketing and creating
Yeah.
content. It's sometimes gigs just aren't even like profitable, but
Yeah,
it's like that investing in yourself.
well, that's it. I mean, even if you're breaking even, you run the business and you're breaking even, but your business is your brand. Your brand is you. You know, that's how I see it. And then you just keep reinvesting back into yourself, you know, and you slowly but surely make those increments up and up and up, and then it was, you know, when Google gives you those photos of like, oh, this is what it looked like in 2017.
Oh
This
yeah,
is
yeah,
you in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
2017, and it pulled up a photo of me at a gig with a CD wallet.
Nice.
And I was like, and I was literally, I had my hand on my chin, like, and my
Flicking through.
girlfriend is still sitting in my now wife.
Yeah.
She's sitting in the back, and you can see her just sitting there, like bored out of her mind. This is when she still used to come to gigs with me, you know, like way back when. I literally in like must have been 2012, 2013, something like that. And then realize, wait, okay, I'm not just doing the kids' parties. I still DJ in Tunbridge Wells, still doing like all the parties there and stuff, but you know, I'm also going to the US. I'm also going to Spain. I'm also, you know, doing all these cool things that like I would have now looking at my Instagram, I'm like, wow, okay, wow, I'm actually doing it, you know.
I think sometimes it takes a lot of like self-reflection, because I think going back to like the benchmarking and like comparison thing, like you have to think like some months you're just really demoralized, or like you're not getting gigs or whatever.
January, February, in other words.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's funny because like January is when I like do all my planning and content, like a lot of content creation. But I feel like my summer, pretty much by March, is like set in stone, pretty much. So it's quite nice actually using that downtime to prepare, chat to other DJs, meet up with people, and also rest. Like, there's not a lot of times DJs get to rest, especially if you're doing like the summer seasons, the uni towns, the big cities, plus the ad hoc events. Really, there's not a time where
busy periods. You can be doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pass out on Monday. Monday's a write-off. And then you got to get ready Tuesday. You kind of do all your admin bits and replying. Wednesday, you're like, okay, I've got the weekend again. And I mean, for you as well, I see you run around like loads and doing gigs here and there for different agencies. So it's like, it's not just like, you know, oh, I got this gig today. It's like it can be multiple gigs in a day where you're running from one venue to another.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for a while, I did a lot of Saturdays would be like a brunch and then an evening set. So you could do, depending on the brunch, it could be like all afternoon and then have an hour or two to eat, go to the next one, and then do another stint. So
10 till 3 or something like that.
Yeah. Sometimes it'd be like 6 hours or something like that. Like, it's by the end of it you're like knackered. Like, no wonder like DJs should have like a chiropractor on call or something, because
I got
the back problems, and just from standing up all the time, from like standing still, walking.
That's why I actually wear Skechers now. I don't wear anything other than Skechers when I DJ, because my back was just taking a pound there, man. But people don't realize.
I know some DJs have like mats.
A mat, yes,
yeah.
To be fair, my mate, I laughed at him because he literally put the mat down, took his shoes off on the side, and then went and stood on the mat. And I was like, bro, that's just not cool. You're just not cool. And he's like, give it a try, mate. Give it a try. So I stood there and it was just nice and bouncy. And I was like, wow, maybe he's onto something here.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be comfortable taking off my shoes in a club, but
no. Well, this is obviously he's mobile DJ, so he takes his rig, sets his rig up, puts his mat out, lights the rig behind him. He's like ready to go. I walk around the back. I'm like, are you getting yourself comfortable, right? So, next minute you're going to take your shorts off or something.
Yeah.
He's looking a bit too comfortable behind there.
I think it's hard because I think a lot of DJs want to play out of their towns and cities and like be like touring DJs, right? Like, I think every DJ at some point aspires to like play abroad or just do like a UK tour or like however people want to kind of dress it.
Got to do
Ibiza and stuff like that. But I think the novelty of traveling does wear off eventually. I mean, unless you're that 1% private jet setter,
Yeah.
Like you will be in the car and hotel rooms on your own, um, going from like a super high of like playing at a festival to then silence in your hotel room. Like sometimes there are after parties, sometimes there aren't. Sometimes it's you and a bunch of mates who make a weekend out of it. Sometimes it's just you. Yeah, I think the glamour, like I mean, there's always flip sides of every occupation.
Yeah, yeah. The rough with the smooth.
Yeah,
and sometimes it can be quite rough. And yeah, this is really interesting because not a lot of people talk about the rough side of that. You know, that travel side of things. I've kind of taken it to the extreme, but exactly that. You go from that, exactly what you're saying, this amazing event where you can literally have like 1,000 people in front of you that are screaming, and you, especially when you get that dopamine fix where you've dropped a tune and you know what you're expecting. You drop that tune, you hit that remix the right way, and it just makes the crowd go absolutely mental. You get that super high, and then exactly that. You jump in the cab, and you know, for me it's like the hour and a half drive home or something like that. You're sitting on the M25, like okay, great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or like just like pulling all nighters. Like I don't think I've done this. I haven't done this yet, but like I did it with a videographer. So I was playing at Ibiza, went out, flew out, maybe arrived at like 10 o'clock at night or something like that. Was playing 2 till 3 or something like that as well. But my videographer came out as well, and then he did a night shift essentially filming me, and then he flew out at like 9 o'clock that morning. So he just did like a full night shift, and it's so sometimes it's not even like sleeping, it's like traveling or doing something. Yeah, it's just some people just put an absolute shift.
Yeah. I mean, and then people wonder why you're like, oh, why would you charge so much for travel? It's like there's only so many times you can stand in a EasyJet queue before you start wanting to lose your mind. I mean, to be fair, I did an epic New Year's gig where I got to go play in the Maldives.
Oh,
Yes, the
nice.
Maldives. I always get confused. Yeah, it was the Maldives. And yeah, nice and glamorous, but the mission. I mean, you know, for one gig, you're away for a week because you're traveling for like 2.5 days basically either side. And you know, first plane, okay, cool. Second plane, oh, but there's a delay. Okay, second plane, waits like 8 hours. Okay, next plane. Then you get to the other airport, which is down this tiny, really tiny airport, which then you go on this really small rickety plane, which takes you to, and it's getting beautiful and glamorous and stuff like that. But then you're also in a plane, and all my Instagram feed keeps showing me is planes crashing.
Oh yeah, it's
And
always
it's like, get to this place, and then you get off, and then like, okay, now it's 10 o'clock at night, and now you've got to get on a boat, and you've got a 90-minute boat ride. It just, you know, by the time you get to the other side, I was, it was not cool.
I'm always curious at those gigs actually because I've been asked to play abroad like for some like private events, and trying to price it is, I think, is quite difficult because you obviously factor in your time DJing, your time, your travel costs. But I think some like, I wonder, so let's say you've done a day of traveling, you play the gig, and then you have a day of traveling back. Like, do you have day rates for like those 3 days, or do you just quote for like the time of DJing? Like, because I think there's so many different things because you can't, that sets you out of work for other stuff.
100%. Yeah, one gig. I'm having it now where, you know, they want me for one gig, and while I might give them a great rate because they're friends, I have to be away for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So while I'm going to get paid that one gig, I'm losing a potential 3 gigs in the height of summer for that one date. So especially, you know, that's the key days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's like, okay, Thursday maybe I wouldn't get a gig, but as a full-time working DJ, you know, if you're not working Friday and Saturday, when you're making your money, basically. If I'm not making it on those dates, so it's really tricky because then what would be, I think to myself, what would be my base of what I would take home as a gig for those 2 dates? and then that would kind of coincide with the fee, and then with the travel and so on and so forth. But it is so, like, with some companies that I work quite closely with. I'll ring my mate down, and he'll be like, "Oh, we've got this gig, and this is the budget," and it will be under budget, and be like, "Oh, it's not really worth me for that one gig."
Mhm.
But because we have such a great relationship, there's been multiple occasions where he goes, I say, "Okay, I want X," and he goes, "Well, actually, there's actually 300 quid actually extra in the budget,
That's
and
nice.
because you're bringing this, you know, you've done that and that, we'll bump your fee up, and we'll split the
That's
difference."
nice.
And he's open about that, so we have a great relationship. So sometimes, like, again, other mates of mine, when they say, "Oh, we've got this one," you know, I'll always kind of work it, because I know that they're honest with me, and it all
Yeah.
depends on the agency that you have. And some agencies are very, like, more corporate in
Mhm.
the way that they run their books, so there's not a lot
Mm.
of wiggle room. But at the same time, if someone's coming to me with, say, 20% less than what I would normally get, but it's a larger company that's willing to give me, say, 3 gigs a week instead of
Yeah.
like one or two, and I know that's guaranteed work, then it's a no-brainer. So those
Definitely.
private gigs are hard as well, because there's also been occasions where I'm like, like 1,500 quid, and they're like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, no, oh, like,
It's like
wish I should have,
they said
like,
that
asked more.
way too quickly.
Yeah, it's funny because I always, especially for weddings,
Mm,
um, now I have usually have like a day rate. That's
hmm.
just my day rate. But
Yeah.
I used to do per hour, and I always avoided not wanting to ask the client for like their budget, because I didn't want to be that. It's always a case of like, if someone asks what your budget is and you say, let's say like £300, guess what? The price comes back as
three
£300.
hundred pounds.
Like regardless if it was £200
Mm,
or less, they'll
mm,
just say £300, right?
yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm gonna be different. I won't ask like what your budget is,
Mm,
and if you can do it, great. If you can't,
yeah.
then we could maybe work something out,
Yeah.
or actually we're
Yeah.
just too far apart.
Yeah.
Um, but more recently, I've been asking people when it's like only like a few hours or something
Mm,
like that, where like a day rate maybe isn't particularly like useful
yeah.
or just seems a bit outrageous.
Yeah.
I would just ask them like, "Do you have a budget in mind?" And a lot of them, you know, are pretty reasonable. I think only one of them I've seen that was like they wanted me to do a wedding for like, I think their budget was about like 250, £300,
Mm.
and like at that point I was just like, we're
Too
too
far away.
we're
That's,
too
yeah.
far. But
For weddings, like for a club gig, if somebody goes, "Oh, can you pop in and do this, for a low fee," um, and it's a bar, it's a club or something like that,
yeah,
you've got free reign. And as a qualified DJ, someone who's
hmm,
spent the hours in the decks,
yeah,
you go, cool, because then you've got your USB loaded up or whatever. You walk in, you've got your set lists, and you can then go boom, start, and then see where the night takes you, and just go from it like that. A wedding is a completely different kettle of fish. You've got like a club or a pub, that people are going to be at least 18 or over,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the age range is in sticking from 18 to about 55, maybe 60. So you've got that kind of, and even depending if you're in a uni club, it's down to maximum, say, 30
yeah,
or
yeah,
25. So the age range that you're playing with. A wedding, you're playing for 0 to 100, because there's normally babies there, and there's
yeah,
grandparents in the wheelchair. So,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
everyone in
That's true.
between. So you've now got to try and mediate and make sure that, one, you're meeting the vibe that the bride and groom want,
Hmm.
and then two, that you are keeping in with the vibe. Because what I ask is, I've got
Hmm.
two different ways. So I've got myself, and then I've got like a different company that handles
Sure.
weddings and stuff like that. So that's specifically honed in on that. So that you've got the different packages.
Hmm.
But we ask the questions like, you've got your must plays, you've got your plays if possible, and then your do not plays.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
So
yeah,
uh, the reason I break it down like that is, then you've got, and I'm not saying, there's, the 80 to 90 songs you get played in the 5 hour period, right? So,
yeah.
you know, on an average, I'm not asking someone to give me a playlist of 100 songs, but what it does is it hones it down. So if they give me like 5 or 10 must plays, play if
Mm.
possibles, and then the do not plays, one wedding they'll be like, oh, you must play the Macarena. And then the next wedding is like, do not play
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Macarena,
yeah.
and those kind of questions just hone it down to a point that you can go, right, okay, we're looking at about 80 to 100 people from this kind of age range. They like a bit of garage, they like their house,
Mm.
they like their dance, but they also like some of the old school classics. Right, let's build a set list around this. Got my
Mm.
ammunition, and then I can go and do the party.
Yeah,
And that, how much effort and time does that take away from, instead of you just walking into a club? That's
yeah,
why
definitely.
there's a command for that. And actually, I think I saw you do a brilliant video of the breakdown. It was like a little Q&A that you did in front of the decks,
Oh, of
talking about that.
weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be another one coming
Oh,
out pretty soon. But yeah, I think a lot of I think people who don't DJ are sort of a bit confused about like why DJs cost so much
mm,
for weddings versus like, oh, they're just doing the same thing. And yeah, on paper you are doing
yeah,
the same thing, minus if you need to supply speakers and lights and stuff. But
yeah,
I think it does take into account, like you could say it like with the florists, with the photographers, with any other vendor, it's pressure,
hmm,
it's organization, and it's risk. You've got to get it right. So
play the wrong first dance.
yeah, yeah.
You're
Like, I mean, how many YouTube
there's
videos
videos.
have we seen where like they're coming down the aisle and it like someone's ripped it?
Da,
Yeah,
da, da, wow, the
honestly, like
bride standing there like,
yeah,
yeah,
and I think it's one of those things where um for me, I will like have a consultation initially with the client. Um, I then might have another consultation closer to the time. I
hmm,
might go and see the venue, chat to them.
yeah,
Um, they'll be obviously talking through their music preferences. Um, there's way more time spent. Like you
mm,
don't do that. You will ask maybe the music policy or some of like
yeah,
the genres for clubs and stuff
yeah,
or private events, but there's so much more organization. The risk, of course, is you're right. You're playing your first dance songs and stuff like that, but there's these are hopefully this is the people's one time in their life that they're getting married, right? That's the ideal. You want to give them the best possible outcome.
make the memories the right memories for the right reason, not for the
Yeah,
wrong reason.
yeah. And I always say to my clients, like, if there's a reason why I price myself where I am at, and if you're not really concerned about a party, if you're not really concerned about people dancing, and you just want like a filler, like it's expected that you have a DJ, then I might not be the right DJ
Yeah,
for you. And
yeah,
actually, there are some cheap alternatives, cheaper DJs, and I'm very open with that. But
mm,
if you want someone who will, from start to finish, keep the floor pumping, especially for if it's like private events, like with bar work, like
yeah,
keep the bar staff happy
yeah.
and the
Keep the
venue.
money spending over the
Yeah,
bar.
but if you want people coming away being like, actually, like the evening was like the highlight,
Mm,
not take anything away from the bride and groom or
mm,
whoever, but
mm,
like if you want that, then that's what I can hopefully
yeah,
offer to
yeah,
you, because um, I have had some clients that are like, oh, we're not really concerned, just do whatever, and I'm like, probably a Spotify playlist is
mm,
cheaper
yeah,
than what you want.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm exactly in the same line there. I actually, for a long time, my wife used to like, she's like, you're charging too little. You're
Hmm.
charging too little. Because I started DJing a lot in London, and
Yeah, yeah,
um, and then it was only when I actually kind of did a like a search and
hmm,
looked for what DJs were charging in London, what the standard stock standard DJs were
yeah, yeah.
charging in London. I was like, ah, what have I
It's
been doing
hard,
wrong?
man.
And I was still like, let me put the price a little bit
Yeah.
up, and I put the price up, and then it wasn't, and especially with weddings, with a birthday party, if it's a 21st, or it's a
Hmm.
30th or a 40th, it's a good celebration. People will pay money, but at the same time, that if you come out with a high price, they're going to be like, no, I can find a cheaper
Yeah,
DJ.
yeah, yeah.
But with a wedding, because of all of those things that you just outlined, the bride and groom want to be 100% certain that this person knows what they're
Mm.
doing. And if you've got the equipment, you've got the history, and you've got
Yeah.
like all of those boxes ticked, then why should you not be charging what it is that you're worth? And so what I found was that I wasn't getting as many leads through, but the leads that I was getting were much higher quality because I've spent the effort, putting all that information onto my websites and doing all
Mm,
that legwork and having that history and having the reviews and stuff. So people go, okay, no, he's legit. Okay, fine. It's maybe a bit more expensive, but weddings are prepared 1 to 2 years in advance. So
yeah,
people go, right, okay, let's take a small deposit. Let's book you in. Let's confirm that we've got you there, and then we can start saving towards it. So people are willing to save for that because they know they're going to get a quality service.
100%. And I think it's trust as well. Like they trust you to do a good job, a bit like they trust the photographers
Hmm.
or whoever.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it's I don't believe that DJs will just add a zero because it's a wedding. It definitely
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
takes a lot.
yeah.
Um,
And I try to price it down as well. It wasn't a case of me just going, oh, I'm just going to whack it up by 50% and be
yeah,
like, yeah, that's the way it is. It's like, okay, well, let me check. Oh, okay, I've got a van now. Okay, the van's actually back on congestion charge now. I bought an
yeah,
electric van thinking that it was going to solve my
yeah,
issues for traveling in London. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, the van's actually more expensive to run than a diesel
yeah,
van, and I'm still getting paid congestion. Oh, I saved 25 quid on ULEZ, but
yeah,
I'm still like literally 100 quid down
yeah,
if I'm doing a gig in London. So it's like, and then go, okay, well, why did you just, add 100 quid or 150 quid to the booking? And so,
yeah,
well, I have to. If you want me there,
yeah.
that's not even me making any money. That's just me
Mm.
covering the costs.
And people forget, like, let's say you get £100 for a gig, right?
Mm.
Well, 20% of that is taken away already
Mhm,
for tax,
mhm.
or 40%, or however you do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
You have to put that at least saved. Even if you do good
yeah,
tax, if you don't have that for your tax bill, you're
yeah,
screwed. So you have to put that 20% away.
yeah. So regardless how much tax you pay, you have to put a side amount for
Mm.
tax.
You might get a nice little hey at the end of it when you pay your tax bill,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if you don't have that,
yeah,
you get in trouble.
yeah. So
First-hand experience.
absolutely. So really, like when you're pricing it, it's like and then plus if you charge like VAT or anything like that. But like
Mm,
there are a lot of other things that actually, when it comes down to it, works out at like actually not much per hour.
mm,
But
mm,
the aim is, I guess, like going back to almost like your thing of like, let's get some quality, not quantity. And
mm,
actually, if you're going to put up your prices, suffer that, let's say, less 20% gigs a year, um, but higher quality, higher price, and then allow that to kind of grow. And then I think I heard a saying, and it was like if you're fully booked, like you're charging too low. Like, so you should always be like incrementally like increasing a little
mm.
bit, just to keep yourself at like not full capacity. Because if you are at full capacity, then
You can't
you
take
are
on a
not
biggie.
meeting the demand.
And you've hit your ceiling of earning potential because that's as much you can only work a set amount of days in the year.
Yeah,
Can't do any more. You can't earn any more.
yeah. And I know some people would then like fob gigs off, or like start their own agencies and things like that. But
Mm,
like if you're wanting to DJ and you're finding that actually like I'm keeping getting asked for multiple dates, I'm always not free.
mm, mm.
Um, that's a great problem to have, but it's maybe a sign of like
You're not charging enough, maybe.
just a little bit here and there,
Mm,
or like
mm.
yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, I like that because I mean I kind of was pushed into running an agency because I was working for Choice DJ. It was a guy named Phil who was running Choice back in 2013, and then he was doing like interviews and stuff and local. And I was just trying to find some local work around the Tunbridge Wells area, and did the interview. Started DJing from in 2014, and then it just then like um, that became my bread and butter. Like I was doing the clubs, doing pitch and pianos, and going
yeah,
to London Lightbox, and all of those kind of venues, and Fire, and all of that, and it was nice, and made some good cash, but there
yeah,
wasn't any consistency. And then hit these weddings that I was getting paid, you know, sometimes double from the normal
mhm,
club gigs, and 7 till midnight. I don't go beyond midnight, never as a
yeah,
wedding. You normally sometimes even finish at 11. So I kind of got pigeonholed into that because wife and kids, bills to pay.
Convenient.
And then the one day he phones me up and he's like, "Bro, I'm selling the business. I'm moving to Scotland." And he's just like, "I'm done." He's had his DJ career. He's done. And I was like, panic mode happened because I was like, "This is now, yeah, where's my money gonna go?" So I kind of scraped everything together, bought the business,
Fair.
took out like I had a pension pot, so I cashed in my pension early to buy the business. I paid for it in. I bought the business in October 19, and then finished paying it in February 2020. And then 2 weeks later, we went into lockdown.
That's wow.
So, but obviously, then plowed through, finally got through lockdown and all of that kind of all those shenanigans, and the business started doing well. And then that is why I kind of have two outputs. Like I'm my own entity as David Cardoso, but I also understand the value of having a quality DJ at a kind of set price that anybody can get, but they know is trusted, that they know they're going to get a DJ that's got at least 10 years under the belt, that has their own rig, that understands etiquette, that turns up when they're supposed to, and all these kind of things that most DJs, that want to be DJs, I should say, they don't follow those kind of rules and put themselves in that position. So I kept that and kept running it. And then I realized that for myself. It's like, well, I was just getting booked, but realizing that I'm worth more than just this brand. So started pushing my own brand as David Cardoso, and then started pushing up. So,
it does show, like, I think with COVID or anything else, it's like building relationships with people. So like your clients maybe taking that lesser paid gig, but like more regular work. But also I think the constant reminder of not to put all your eggs in one basket. Like if you are totally reliant on, I'll say it's, I work for, I love the agencies that I work for currently, but if I was to, go exclusively to them,
one agency,
without any kind of, like just as it stands, without any other additional benefits or something like that, it would be a risk because, what happens if they go under? What happens if, suddenly they get, I don't know, even like hit with a lawsuit? Like you can make up
Well, they
loads
have
of
other DJs flooding in that you just fall lower on the roster.
They lose venues or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think for me, my ethos has always been like, try not to put your eggs in one basket, but keep those relationships going where you can kind of reach out, and there are, you might for a season not DJ with specific brands, but then they come around maybe once every while or whatever. So I think I think it shows the power of networking and building relationships, but keeping them as well is important. Without I guess going too far down the road.
I have like set people that I like to work with as well. It's like if they phone me up, like AAA for example, if they phone me up, I'm like, yes, let's do it. These guys, I've worked with them for many years. They've always looked after me. So it's nice when you have that, but exactly that. I can't just rely on that because they're not responsible for the bills of my bills at the end of the day. I am. So you got to spread your wings far and wide to get everything kind of where you want it to be. So I mean, in that line, what are your plans like now? I mean, I see you've been doing stuff when you did Formula One last year. Don't know if that's coming this year. What are your plans there?
Yeah, I mean, as like I think this right now it's just trying to prepare for the summer really. Like I think I always love the summer because it's so different. There's so many different types of gigs that I'll do. So from, like as you said, like the F1 to stuff in Ibiza or festivals, along with the usual like bar and club gigs and stuff like that. So I think for me it's a lot of preparation and planning. I'd love to do the F1 again. I think anyone who either goes to the F1 or has seen it, like has that taste for like the atmosphere.
Did you camp? Did you camp over, or were you just there for the one day?
So I was there for, I've just done, I think the first time I did it, I did 2 days, and then last year I just did the one day. So I just did the Friday.
Oh, so you just came in, had your set, and then off you went.
Yeah, I did stay the night, to be fair, and then I went home the next day because I was like, it's just gonna be manic.
The weather was.
It was, yeah, the weather was not good. Luckily, where I was playing, there was like a lot of like, it was like covered and it was all good. But yeah, so hopefully the F1 again. A lot of like Ibiza, I love playing on Ibiza. So just trying to like develop those relationships.
Is that like a staple now for you, going out to Ibiza most summers, or is it still early days?
I never take anything as stable, you know. Like I think I try not to take things for granted. I think every year is a risk. Every year I say to myself, Dan, like that was your best year. Like don't expect it to be like that as well. And then some years are like just even better. And I think last year was probably one of the best years for sure. I think I went out three times to play there, which was great. Just for two brands, but always conscious that they may want to take it in a different direction. They may not, you know, they may want other DJs.
That's the thing.
Guests,
there's no job security in what we do.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's that trying to find the fine line between developing relationships. But yeah, so I think so I'd love to Ibiza again. I think this year I'm really trying to focus on music production.
I saw you had your whiteboard up, and some of the things that you were talking about, and I saw that you had production on there. I was going to get on that. Have you got any tunes coming out, or what kind of stuff do you want to make for yourself?
Yeah, so I've been dabbling for years. Like I started out.
What are you using? Logic.
So I started off with Logic, and I've recently moved to Ableton. I've made that leap.
Yeah.
I think I started because back in COVID, I mean, even when I was bedroom DJing, I was always making like mashups and stuff like that, like really bad ones, but just always loved that, creating a new song, like, or a bootleg out of something. And then I got involved with the mashup.co.uk, started releasing stuff out to that platform. I kind of stayed there for a while, really, for a couple of years, and then didn't really focus on original stuff.
Okay.
But now it's such a hard thing because I just love playing out, and I want to spend all my time playing to crowds and things like that. So previously, it hasn't really been attractive for me to stay in a studio and just start like EQing a snare for hours on end. Like that doesn't, doesn't feel appealing, you know. But obviously now we have lots of resources that make that easier. But I think I've kind of got to a point where I think I do need to start releasing music to get to that next level, which is playing to bigger crowds, more places,
kind of
creating more of a brand.
Sammy Porter kind of vibes.
Yeah, like I think I'm experimenting at the minute. Like it's a lot of house music, I think, is where I'm at. I think it's trying to develop my sound, develop like what is there anything that's going to make me unique? Is there anything that's like going to make me different? Because I think it's so saturated. I heard like a stat, and it was there's more music released on Spotify in a week now than there was like in all of the 1980s. It was like something ridiculous like that, and it's how do you know, even if we like don't even start talking about getting on playlists and radio and Spotify and all that kind of stuff like that, even just being able to put out music, it's like how do people buy into you versus this other guy that is producing very similar music, or this girl who basically plays at the same place as you. Like, what's the difference? So I think I'm very aware that as well as DJing and music production, branding is very key. Relationships and who you know is very key as well. But I think I've been working on those kind of things for a few years. I now need to actually work on production.
No, it's evident. It's definitely evident because one thing I always think about is that they say that you are the sum total of the 5 people that you hang around with, and the people that influence you. And I always try and like up when I see somebody doing something, I go, wow, okay, yeah, I can see that, and I try and incorporate that, and I definitely see the way in which that you pushed yourself and pushed your brand. Um, definitely deserves recognition because I see that effort and I know what it takes to put that in. People see the 15-second snippets that you do. I don't do them because I suck at them and they take so long. Oh my god! And you even got your mic separate, and like so. What software do you use for that?
So I one of my things is that I do the top of my qualification, and if I know that someone else does a better job,
Mm.
I will get them to do that. So I actually have
Oh, you got a team.
editors and people like that
You
to help.
see. Now that's
So
that's the proper entrepreneur that says, you got to make sure that you're not the smartest person in the room for any work
I'm
that gets
I
done.
am the
Give it to
dumbest
somebody else.
person in the room all the time, and I think that's the best way
It's
to
the
go.
way, yeah.
But I think, yeah, so everything from videography, obviously like photography, like anything to do with content creation, like I will have. So I have a regular content creator that will help me. Sometimes it's come up with ideas, but a lot of it is just filming and executing, and then they edit it. So yes, it costs more money. Yes, I could learn to do it myself, but actually I can focus on doing the things that help me to grow the brand, grow myself, make money, and
It's amazing that you see that
they
as
can
an
do that.
actual, like, in an accounting ledger. It's not like, oh, he's just spending money on this and that and
Yeah,
on
of course.
social. That's an actual legitimate cost that you've
Yeah,
just implemented,
and it is
and
a
it
lot of
seems to
money.
work.
It is a lot of money, and like especially if you want good editors or like good people that can have quick turnaround times or
Mm.
availability. Um, like a guy that I work with, I work with him every month, and we spend, like, I guess I'm giving away secrets, but it's not really secrets, but like we just spend a day a month and we film all the content for that month. So
Yeah,
then
but there's
essentially
still
I have a plan.
preparation behind that
Of course.
to plan what content you're going to be looking at, what
Yeah,
content, what's coming up, and all that
of
kind of stuff.
course. And then he edits it all, and then we put together like a social media plan, and then I can basically like whack them out. And it means that even when I'm out of work or so in December, for instance, I was DJing a lot, didn't really have time to content create.
Mm.
So in November, we front loaded a load of content to then put out over December as well as November. So
So that you're not having to be there after the gig. Like, okay, let me just post the
yeah,
button.
especially, I mean, if it's not like if it's not gig related, like
Yeah,
if it's just like the stuff in like the studio, like Q&As and
yeah.
stuff, like I can do that. We did a whole load of Christmas stuff in November.
Mm.
Literally had to like wore like Christmas t-shirts and stuff like that in November,
Amazing,
just
amazing.
to. But I think it shows that like you can build a team. I don't think there's been anyone that's been like truly successful
Mm.
on their own and just by their doing. They've always had help, or
Team.
two heads are better than one. And as we said, like if you can be the dumbest person in the room and have, okay, I have a great videographer and I have a great, even like EAs. I don't have an EA or anything like that, but like someone to take that admin side off you, that will leave you. How much time would that give you for
Freeing.
focusing on other things? And that's why you see like the Joel Corries, the Sigmas, the John Summers, whoever it is, they have
Yeah.
a team
Mm.
where look at James Hype when
Yeah.
he plays, he has a tour manager, he has a number of videographers, and so he can focus on DJing.
Yeah.
Everyone else works around him in
Around
the
him.
background,
Mm.
and I wouldn't be surprised if people post for him as well, and so
Yeah.
he can literally just DJ, and then
Mm.
everything else is keeping up with him
Yeah.
rather than him.
And then when he wants to post for himself,
Yeah.
he can, and then that's just an additional kind of
Yeah.
nice post, but everything else is kind of covered.
Yeah, and I think it's so good because it means that James can do what he wants. He can have that free time, that time off as
And he
well.
also did come from, like, literally just DJing.
Yeah. Like every
literally-
night in Liverpool, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was like, and then I think lockdown really helped him with his
Yeah.
live streams.
Yeah.
I think
He said that's where it actually kicked off for him when
yeah,
he found a following of people that literally liked what he was doing.
yeah.
And
I remember when he hit 100k followers, and it was like, oh, this is huge. Like
Yeah.
you're at like 30k before COVID,
Yeah.
and then now you're 100k, and now I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the millions.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I mean, you just look at the gigs he's doing now. It's like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
he's smashing, absolutely smashing.
No,
So on your whiteboard,
oh yeah, yeah,
tell
yeah.
me, what have you got? What is next for Dan Sterry?
Yeah. So I guess as a background, so the whiteboards I think for me are great for planning. I'm definitely
Yes.
like channeling an inner project manager
Yeah.
to kind of in
I've
how
also
I
got one.
work
We've
my career.
we shared our whiteboards
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
each other. So yeah,
Yeah. It's I think it's really important because I think writing something down or putting something out where you can constantly see it really helps you keep on track of those goals that you have.
Mm.
So I started years ago writing down basically like these are my like 20 goals. And some would be DJ related, some would be like personal development.
Yeah.
This year I've really like reduced mine. I think for me it's around music production and branding, and continuing trying to go on the social media kind of like journey
Yeah.
of creating content. I think there's also like the physical health as well. So I think last year physical health definitely was like lacking in terms of I was just traveling.
Takes a back seat. So you
Yeah,
have to be living off coffee and Red Bull and
yeah, and
sandwiches.
like service station and
Yeah,
airport
yeah,
food and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And then also when you're tired, you don't want to like cook
Okay.
from scratch or eat or whatever. So I think and then going to the gym as well. So
Mm.
I think the great thing is that this year I play at a gym like once a month, and in
Was that
return I get
uh,
it's called Harbour Club,
okay.
in like Wandsworth,
Oh,
sort of
that's
Fulham area,
nice.
and I play there once a month, and I get a membership in return,
Fantastic.
and it just means that like it's obviously like a cost I don't have to deal with, but like it's just an opportunity where okay, great, I can work on achieving
Yeah,
that
and
as
and,
well.
and as well, what I really like is I did a thing for Gymshark,
Nice,
and
yeah,
then like another one actually. Jaylee hooked me up. She needed somebody to fill in on one of her sets, and they were doing like I don't even know they had a full circuit, so they needed a DJ there, pipe and stuff, and she was doing that, and I checked that out, and I thought that's really awesome because uh, again, that's a different
yeah, yeah,
way
yeah.
that you have to DJ. You've got people now that are in between sets, so you've got to kind of keep the BPM and the momentum at a certain level. Whereas, I've got this thing in the Gartner hype cycle, which is like the way a dance floor, like you get these
Yeah,
peaks
yeah,
and
yeah.
troughs, and understand that helps you ride to then pick the crowd back up and that kind of stuff. Whereas in the gym, you don't really want to let off too much. And you've got to keep to the certain level to keep people, because people might be coming in and out. So you want to just get to this level where it keeps people like
Yeah.
engaged.
I mean, what pushes me is that I think I did like there like in December I just did like a generic like Christmas party for the gym,
Hmm.
and then I think they realized because I cycled through quite a bit of music, they're like, oh, like what else can you do? So literally last week I did like an aqua class, like like basically just classes. So literally playing a range of music, and that I think that for me this is weddings are less challenging now. It's more gym classes. Like
Okay.
how do you like work with the instructor to like almost increase and decrease the
Yeah.
energy,
When they want to
maybe
have a cool down before they
yeah,
take the next
maybe
set.
keeping the BPM like, and things like that, and also it's like not all songs are great to work out to, but they're nice to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like so I think the next one I've got to do is like a Pilates one, which is like a house and garage like thing.
Pilates house and garage.
Yeah, that's what they
Okay.
want.
Ooh,
So
but I mean, Pilates. You think Pilates is just nah, keep my leg up kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
My wife made me do it. Yeah,
It's
it's
hard
it's
work. But
hard
like
work.
take spinning, like that's crazy, and like and then all have music.
Yeah.
And it's I think working with the instructors to like know their cues as well
Yeah.
of like energy, but I think it's just something different. And I think it's
That's pretty
all
awesome.
even from doing like product launches or weddings or private events or bar work, it's like I think it all shapes you and gives you experiences for other things.
Mm.
But yeah, I think for 2025, just wanted to do those things. I think work more with brands as well. I think getting some more big brands on like the CV, I think is
Yeah,
always a good thing.
yeah,
But just also enjoying it. Like I think previous years I've just accepted like any gig,
yeah.
and just said, oh yeah, like if I can do, I will. And
Mm.
actually going back to the point of like quality over quantity,
Mm.
it's just trying to make sure I have some time for me, have
Yeah,
some time to produce music.
that's a
Um,
great place to be.
yeah.
That's a great place to be where you can not say take your foot off the pedal, but like,
Yeah.
you've been on this treadmill for so long to get to a certain place, and
Hmm.
then you rouse your head and go, okay, let's regroup. Where am I? How
Yeah.
okay now? How can I look after myself to get to that next level?
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, it's the hard work is definitely paying off. So um,
Yeah.
I think for me, what I would look forward to is one of these days doing a back to back set with you, mate.
100%, man. Like it's I love back to back sets. Like I rarely do them. Like at the F1 we do them and
Mm,
other sets, but yeah, I think it's great, and I think the best back to backs are ones that you complement each other.
mm.
I think I've had some in the past where it's almost felt very much like a competition and like who
Yeah,
can
trying to
roll.
one up the next.
Yeah,
You played that. Well, I'm going to play this one.
yeah,
It's
and I'm
like,
like, if
no,
we,
that's not what this is.
yeah, and like,
It's not a battle. It's not a battle.
no, exactly,
We're
and
having fun. Yeah, let's
yeah,
have fun.
and we're working towards like a common goal as well. Like,
Yeah,
I actually love doing like silent discos with like multiple channels and stuff, and like another DJ playing like different
different.
music, and
And then you watch who's got the what color
yeah,
headsets. You're like, yes, they're
yeah,
all blue. Yes.
yeah, and there is definitely like an in a sense of like, yes, come on, here comes that, but actually like I'll always work with the other DJ and basically like, oh, like let me know because we don't want to be playing the same stuff,
Yeah.
but let me know when you're gonna like drop like a big tune, and I'll make sure I play something completely different so that it means
People
that A,
can.
there's some variety, but
Mm,
also there are some songs where you want everyone to be on the same channel.
yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
like those like dance anthems where or like the organized like the choreographer like the dances like the Macarena or like Candy for
Mm,
instance. You don't want
mm.
like 10 people doing Candy and like
In the
100
middle of
people. Someone playing
like what's going on here?
like someone doing like party rock anthem and then someone doing
Yeah.
Candy. It's
Dun,
like
dun, 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 dun.
exactly. So
I
I
get
think you
that.
have to. I think, but yeah, back to backs. I think where you complement each other,
Mm,
where you're not thinking, oh, I was going to play that. Like, what else am I going to play? Like,
mm.
we have completely different libraries and
Yeah.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
good. So yeah, no, definitely,
I do that with
definitely.
Faz at
Oh
Pitcher.
yeah,
Like if I'm coming back from a gig, I'll message him like, "Are you playing tonight?" Manor House, I should say Manor
yeah,
House.
yeah. It's Manor House.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then he'll be like, "Yeah, I'm on." So I get to the DJ box. He's like, "You got your stick? Yeah, yeah, yeah." I'll just whack the stick in, and by the time I get there, it's like maybe
mm-hmm.
half
You're
two.
doing the
So
last
we
like
got that
little stint.
last
Yeah,
hour, and everyone's just you know
yeah,
the party's popping off. So whatever you play, you're most probably going to smash it. It's a commercial
yeah,
club, so as long as you know what you're doing, you should be able to keep
yeah.
them dancing. So then we just go, and then I play something. Oh, I didn't think of that. Let's go this way, and then you go that way,
Honestly,
and then go that way.
I think you can get so inspired by other DJs, and it's like partly why I love going to see other DJs as well.
Mm,
Like, I think being inspired by the way that they play, like whether it be their techniques or their song selection. I'm definitely not that guy that like just put Shazam on like all the time, but like
yeah.
I think discovering new music through other DJs is like so key.
That's a joke between us DJs. Like
Oh
as soon
yeah,
as I do it, I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
there it is,
I
bro.
know
There it
some
is.
people who would just stick Shazam on and then just put it in their pocket and like it records like the whole
Oh no,
thing.
no, 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 no!
Um,
I'm not that bad. I'm not
but
that bad.
like,
I've done it before to my mate Dan Healy. I'm really sorry, Dan.
oh damn, yeah,
I actually sent him the next day because he was playing banger after banger after banger, and then
yeah.
eventually I was just reaching over, just taking a photo of his screen
Yeah, a lot of
constantly.
people do that. I'm like, if there's a great song, I'll just go up to the DJ and be like, oh, like, what's this song? And
Yeah,
like, if it's a song that's common, then
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think there are some DJs that obviously like gatekeep,
Oh yeah, no.
but
I mean, he gatekeeps like he's not. He doesn't gatekeep, but he's not just gonna give his like his some of his collection just to anyone.
of course,
So
yeah,
for me, he was letting it. And the next day, I woke up and we were having a bit of a party, so I woke up and I looked at all my photos and I was like, so I went and I was like, hey bro, I just wanted to say sorry. I was a bit of a dick last night, and he's like, Like if it was anybody else but you know,
yeah.
and then like but then the sweetest thing was we were doing. I don't know if you saw that official cube, the
Oh
cube
yeah,
DJ box.
yeah.
I was doing that party and I was prepping for Portugal, trying to get some work out in Lisbon. So I did like a strictly like Latin set,
Oh nice, yeah.
and like party was going off everything, and then Dan comes around the corner and pulls his phone and he shows me he's shazamming my song. I was like, I can die. He shazammed my song.
Do you know what? I think it's like such a, I don't know, maybe not all DJs think of it, but like, I think, where was it? I was playing somewhere. Oh yeah, I was playing this like bar in like this cocktail bar in Mayfair, and they wanted like progressive house, kind of like Afro house, nothing commercial or anything like that. And I think like the first like 3 songs I played, the GM came up and took a picture of like all those 2 songs, and it definitely is like a yes moment, of like, okay, like I'm not just playing the music that like is like right, but it's like it almost like exceeds expectations of like, and obviously the 4th song and from then on like he didn't take any pictures, but like it's almost quite nice.
It was like, this is a brand new DJ coming in, and this is a new sound. This is something that we are not accustomed to. There's a line that I heard which always sticks in my head. Even when people give me requests, fine, great, I'll take requests, in weddings and stuff like that. A good DJ plays the songs you want to hear. A great DJ plays the songs you didn't know you wanted to hear.
Absolutely.
And I think that's it. When people go, oh, I want to play this, I like this song. It's like, okay, well, if they like that song, then this is going to blow their socks off, because it will take them by surprise. I mean, hey, let's be honest. Sometimes you don't hit the mark and you clear the dance floor. It happens, but the more time that has passed, the less that has happened, and the more I seem to kind of nail it on the dance floor. So.
And it definitely takes time. Like, I think if you DJ long enough, you're going to have like errors or mistakes, or like just learn. I've had every like bad thing happen to me. I've had from like forgetting, like I was at another, I think I was in Ibiza and I forgot the converter to my charger, like on my laptop. Like I've had not connecting to CDJs, USB blank. I've had like drinks over the decks. I've had like a fight in the DJ booth. Like there's been so much. Like, but I think it's all, you always take away like, it's all character building, isn't it? Like, you try and
that never happens again though. When one of those things happen.
No.
I went to a venue. I was DJing at the O2 Arena. At this, is it the Slug and Lettuce?
Oh yeah, the one. Yeah, just by it. Yeah.
I walked in there. Now security wouldn't let me through because they didn't have my vehicle reg, which wasn't my fault. But I get to the venue 45 minutes late. Rock up, take my decks up, open up, and look to plug in, and all I've got is RCAs, and it's an XR connection into the wall. Oh, mate. And I walked in and everyone went, hey, the DJ's arrived.
Yeah.
And then
I definitely learned the hard way for that. But I think there's one agency I work with, JW, that have, when you come on board, they basically like, it sounds really uptight, but they give you like a kit list.
Yeah.
Basically like, these are all the cables that you should have to basically be like bulletproof.
Fail safe, yeah.
And like, and
XLR to RCA, RCA to jack, jack to jack, jack to RCA, and XLR, and then the double connections. It's just make sure you got it all.
Even like linking, like I remember it being an RCA connection, but it was like 3 meters away, and then but having the like the connector that links like
2 RCAs,
2 RCAs, but also like an RCA to an XLR, and like all those different things, like so. That you can like daisy chain is probably not like correct, but
no, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and like I think it's key. Like you do learn the hard way. Like
I've even had to at a gig like come on.
Yeah, like extension cables, like you know, leads are too far away. I think but I think that's part of, if you want to play at different venues and you want to play all around the country or wherever it is, you're going to have different setups. You're going to have it where the booth monitor is not on your right hand side, and you're gonna have to get used to it being on the left hand side, or no booth monitor, or a sound engineer who who is right and you're wrong, and there's loads of different things that you've got to adjust to. So you won't get those things if you play in the same place week in, week out. But if you want to grow and if you want to expand, you're going to have to become uncomfortable with the variety, the good and the bad. So 100%. It's you've got to roll with it. You've got to adapt, be a bit of a chameleon sometimes.
So you pretty much been DJ now for 15 years, is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like coming up to that. Yeah,
amazing. So, mate, thank you so much for doing this. It's been an absolute pleasure talking up. Before we end, do you want to give your socials? Like, obviously it's Dan Sterry, but
so
I'm sure there's an underscore there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so on Instagram it's just Dan_Sterry, and then what else? YouTube, I think it's just Dan Sterry. I think if all on the socials, if you just search Dan Sterry, you'll find me. There's not
you
many.
Got it nailed down.
There's not many around. There's actually one guy on Instagram that's Dan Sterry that I've messaged so many times to be like, guys, can we swap or like do something? He's never replied. But it's not a too common surname. Sterry.
That's cool. Well, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to be continuously watching your feed to check out what you got coming. I so hope I see you at Formula One, because we'll definitely grab a beer there, because my friend gave me his skateboard, electric skateboard.
Oh yeah.
And I took that on, and you're not allowed scooters and stuff. So I was cruising around, and I was looking for your venue, and I went past it and I saw it like all undercover and stuff like that.
It's a big.
I was like, maybe I could get in there. No, I can't get in there.
It's so tight.
So tight. So the security is like spot on. But
there'll be a time.
Yeah, we'll definitely make it, and hopefully we'll see you in a few months. Maybe we'll meet up and have another chat.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Amazing. Thanks for the watch, guys. Catch you soon.